Hello, everyone. It's Deborah Poneman, founder of Yes to Success, where we offer knowledge and tools for you to live your ultimate life, and Ageless, anti-aging for your brain, your body, and your bliss. And I am coming to you live from my studio in San Diego, better known as my sister-in-law's guest room. Anyway, many years ago, I was on an interview show, and the host asked me what had been the biggest challenge in my life. Well, I didn't know beforehand what he was going to ask, so I didn't have anything prepared. And I'm like, yikes, you stumped me. I have no idea. So I didn't want to appear like Miss Philippines. Remember in the Miss Universe contest when they asked her what was the biggest mistake she had made in her life? And she said she never made any mistakes and that she had never had any challenges, because believe me, I have made a lot of them and I have had a lot of challenges, but I have had an amazingly blessed life, loving, supportive parents, not mega wealthy, but I had a very comfortable and happy childhood, a brother who we still adore each other, and we always did. In fact, we have a mutual admiration society. I have great health, many friends. I've had two husbands, not at the same time, but both amazing men, brilliant, handsome, loving, kind. I'm divorced from both because the marriage part of our friendship was over, but I still love and adore them with all my heart. They're both remarried to fabulous women, so they're well taken care of. I have a son and a daughter who I'm constantly in awe of, a career I love, and spiritual practices that have brought great inner fulfillment. But while fumbling around for the answer during that interview and not having time to think about it, I said, well, I guess my biggest challenge is that no matter how much I do, or how much I accomplish, or how much I give, I never feel like it's enough, and I never feel like I'm enough. Can you relate? So why is that? Well, according to my friend Shelley Lefko, who is the founder of the Lefko Institute, that's Lefkoe, Lefko Institute, who helps people get rid of deeply rooted beliefs. She says that she has never had a client that didn't have the belief, I'm not enough. And she's been doing this work for almost 40 years. In my case, for example, I never felt like I was a good daughter. Although, except for my teenage years, I was incredibly close to my mom and dad, who are both now deceased. My mom would constantly say, I don't know what I did to get a daughter as wonderful as Debbie. So for the last couple months of her life, I moved in with her, and we sat together watching Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And she loved all the shows that kept her mind sharp. And I'd take her for rides to her appointment. I'd pick up food. We'd go for a picnic. But after she died, the majority of the time, when I reflected back on those final weeks and months that I had lived with her, all I would think about is how much more I could have done and how much I didn't do. In my industry, it's sometimes called the speaker syndrome, which I also have. It's where you get a 2-minute standing ovation at the end of a talk, and then someone comes up and says to you, you know, you attributed that quote to the wrong person. And after that, all you can think about is what an idiot you are. Right? Are you laughing? Yeah, me too. You've probably heard, especially if you've read The Neuroscience of Happiness by Dr. Rick Hanson, he explains in his book that our minds have a negativity bias. He says, and I quote, he says, the mind is like Velcro for the negative, or Velcro for negative experiences, and Teflon for positive ones. Go figure. So how do you overcome this? Well, I'm going to share a few tools and techniques to get you going, ones that I continue to use myself. So here's the first one. So you know that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach, or that tightness in your throat or your heart when something happens that makes you feel like you're dumb or inappropriate or inadequate? I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And you might also know that that feeling is not about what's happening in the moment, but rather how what's happening in the moment is hitting up against some old beliefs about yourself. And what causes you pain is not what just happened, but your belief about what just happened. And then you cause yourself more pain by how you react to it. So the first thing I recommend for long-term inner fullness is that you have a meditation practice, and one that's been scientifically proven to release deeply rooted stress and impressions in your mind and in your body that have been accumulating for weeks and months and years. Well, actually for your entire life. And at the same time, a meditation practice that also creates inner silence and peace, not a technique that you learned on the street at the YMCA or someone decided that they're going to teach how to be enlightened spontaneously. Hint, don't count on it. But one that has been passed down by an ancient tradition that has withstood the test of time, one that is taught by a qualified teacher who's been trained in that tradition. The two best techniques that fit that criteria that I found are the Transcendental Meditation Technique and Sahaj Samadhi. That means simple enlightenment through the Art of Living Foundation. I taught TM for 22 years, and I've now taught Sahaj Samadhi for the last 29. Trying to be content on the outside without that deep inner silence on the inside that meditation creates is like trying to build a building without a foundation and then wondering why the building crumbles. And even though I said the thing about I still feel inadequate, sometimes I'll say something and I think, God, that was really dumb. But the impression does not last. It's like a momentary thing, like, oh God, that was so stupid. But just like a line on water, the impression disappears because my nervous system has now been cultivated through years and years and years, actually decades, actually over 50 years of meditation practice, that experience happens. It's like an EU experience. And then like a line on water, the impression disappears so that later on, I'll have a similar experience and it doesn't re-stimulate it because it doesn't bump up against the impression because the impression isn't there anymore. Okay. But in the moment, when you have that contracted feeling, the first thing to do is breathe. In fact, breathe directly into where you feel the contraction. You could even send it love. You can even say thank you to it. You can even put your hand on where it is. Maybe the pain is felt in your heart. The contraction is felt in your heart. Maybe the contraction is down in your gut. Maybe it's in your throat, wherever it is. And then you could even ask what that pain is trying to tell you. Ask what message is there for you. Of course, if you're alone and you have one of those experiences like, oh God, I can't believe that happened. You could scream. You could pound a pillow until the pain is out of your system. Okay, get it the heck out of your body. But don't go screaming in public because then they'll come and take you away. And now comes the juicy part. First of all, know that everything is a gift. As Byron Katie, author of Loving What Is, says, nothing is done to me. It's always for me. Life is always a gift once we understand it. Life is always a gift and all the experiences are a gift once we understand that. So if something is happening and I'm feeling inadequate or not enough, I say thank you. I say thank you to the God of my understanding for the pain, because if you curse the pain, it contracts you. But when you give thanks, it expands you, and the gift in that pain reveals itself to you much more quickly. And to take it a step further, when I remember to, I practice the ancient Hawaiian kahuna practice of reconciliation and forgiveness called the Ho'oponopono. I know I've talked about this before on my Saturday mornings, so I won't go that deeply into it, but basically it's a prayer, and all it is 4 phrases that you repeat. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Just repeat those 4 phrases into the pain and see what happens when they use this technique. What I'm sure that you're going to find, again, it's I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. Doesn't matter what order you say them in, but I assure you, a sense of peace is going to come over you. You can repeat it over and over. And when you start using it on a regular basis, again, you will find those impressions of not being enough don't take hold. And you find yourself being spontaneously directed to what is perfect in your life. I don't know how it works, but I know this ancient Kahuna prayer works. And again, silently, you don't have to say the phrases out loud, just direct them silently towards yourself. And there's always the option again of doing work with someone like Shelley Lefko of the Lefko Institute, tapping with someone like Margaret Lynch, theta healing with Karen Abrams, ancestral clearing work with John Newton. All of those people do work to help you get rid of those deep-seated impressions. And if you do some kind of work that cleans impressions from the chit, if you do, chit is the Sanskrit word for the storehouse of impressions, where all those impressions are stored. But if you do work like that, or you have any suggestions, please share them in the comments below. But we share it. This is a community, so let everybody know if you have something that also gets rid of those impressions. But these tips give you a starting point, and in the coming weeks, I'm going to share a few more. And I wanted to add, if you'd like to be on my mailing list and receive a free copy of my ebook, 5 Secrets to a Life of True and Lasting Success, just go to my website, yes2success.com, and you'll see there's a request for the free ebook, and you're going to love it. And it gives you 5 more techniques for living a glorious life. And it also has a lot of fun photos of me and my friends and my son. Next edition will have one of my daughter. But anyway, so that's it. I hope this helped. Have a fabulous week. And I send you my love as always. Bye for now.